Sound check. Do you tend to talk a lot about syphilis on your channel, or is it just on my channel?
No,
We're
I'm just
live. We're live, by the way. I just want to let you know.
well, I just want to let you know that I'm not doing a sound check, that I'm actually checking for syphilis
What's
every
the
day.
procedure? What's the procedure, and why are you so worried about this? Listen, I'm not speaking from experience. Totally speaking from experience. It's not that big of a deal. It's just a whole lot of penicillin.
Yeah, it's the gonorrhea. That's the one you don't want to be tested for, right?
Because they put the little swab in your in the tip of your penis. Is that why?
Yeah, well, no, I mean, no, not really. Actually, what I'm referring to is a much more gross version of that they did before the swab, and I'm not going to talk about that here, but don't look it up.
Oh wow, okay. Some old school STD testing. I did not expect to be starting GAMESCAST like this.
Yeah, me either. But that's where it went. But you know, we just let it go where it goes, and it went in the wrong place today.
Bro,
and let me just tell you, putting it in the wrong place, how you get gonorrhea and syphilis.
That's how it happens. Yeah. Dude, once upon a time, there was a point in my life where I would see my doctor like pretty much once a month, and he got to the point where he just rolled his eyes at me. He's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? You're back again?" And I was like, "Doc, don't worry. I've only got a couple of years left. If I only knew how long I was gonna live, I probably would have lived a little bit differently."
Oh, brother,
which I think is a good way to start the show, right?
Absolutely. I think.
Let's go.
What we've done so far, anyway.
Much better way. This is PSVR GamesCast Live. We film live every single Monday, WesDay, and 2 West Friday right here on YouTube. We do it live 6 p.m. Eastern for your viewing pleasure, but we care so much about your oral pleasure. It all comes full circle all the time, doesn't it? My name is Brian Paul from this channel right here with Parole, and this gentleman over here to my left, your right, it's Wes Dillon from Virtual Strangers. What's happening, Wes?
Everything is happening, Brian. I don't know if you've noticed this over the course of the last, 7 to 10 days or so, but the fog, the summertime fog that descends upon VR is beginning to lift, and the games are starting to come out of their cubby holes today and last week, and like I'm getting review keys left and right, and like we're getting previews of games like Reach just being dropped out of nowhere, and I love it. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Yeah. Listen, it's two-sided, double-edged sword. It's a two-headed dildo, is what it is. It's for everyone's pleasure. No, it is a double-edged sword. That is. It rains games, and it's so exciting, and it's just nonstop, and you're like, how do I fucking do this? But and then when it comes to like running a channel, it's just like overwhelming. It's like, how are we going to cover all of this stuff? Fortunately, I only cover PSVR2, Wes, and so it really the shitstorm hasn't quite begun over here. I'm sort of bracing for impact. I'm trying to get some stuff ready for October. Get these videos prepared because I know the shitstorm is coming. I know that we're about to be in for it, and we're about to get a bunch of release dates very, very soon because again, we've been talking about on the channel so much recently. We have lots of games we know that are coming this year, but 2025, this nebulous release window, needs to be specified, needs to be narrowed, and a bunch of games, a bunch of developers are about to narrow that for us, including Zero Caliber on PSVR 2, right? These guys are basically saying it's going to be here very, very soon, and my inside source, kind of inside, not so inside, is telling me like definitely within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So I think that's going to be an October release. They're saying October, so so I don't really need an inside source for that one. We are looking. It's gonna be crazy. Wes, we were talking a little bit before we started the show about what you got going on over on your channel, and it sounds exciting. Share with the rest of the class. What is happening on Virtual Strangers?
Well, we've got an awesome episode lined up, or at least what should turn out to be an awesome episode, which is great because, as you know, our participation this year has been somewhat sporadic due to my work schedule and other things. Um, so when a lot of time when we plan an episode, it's just us literally sliding in the home base and just scraping together what we can to just be able to do some sort of episode. Today we're bringing the goods. We're going to start by having a special guest. Sadly, it's Bradley is joining us for his semi-annual stint on our show. He comes in periodically and talks to us about the state of hardware. So, of course, we're going to be talking about the upcoming Valve headset that it has been speculated about for years. We're going to wrap up the Meta keynote, which for the first time, I think in probably 5 or 6 years, I did not watch yet. Like I'm gonna have to go back and catch the replay of that. And we're gonna talk about the Meta prototypes, new prototype headsets that they showed off privately a couple months ago. But after that, like that would be enough for a show right there. But after that, Roots and I are going to be giving somewhat exclusive impressions and footage of Arken on MetaQuest, which I can't wait to talk about as well.
That's fantastic. And, obviously we're a PSVR2 channel over here, and, we care more about the success of Arken on PSVR2, but like, let's be fair. Talking to Blake Stone directly about this launch, he doesn't know what to expect. He has no idea. Like, this game is a little bit more premium priced than a normal Quest game. And so he doesn't know like what to expect. Hopefully a lot of the positive coverage from, the PC side of things, the PSVR2 side of things, hopefully there's a little bit of hype for this. And people are like, oh man, it's finally coming. I've heard about this. I heard this was great. And he said, if, the better it sells on Quest, and really across all platforms, the better Arken Age 2 is going to be, the bigger that world is going to be, the more, the more things it's going to have going for it. So basically, I think everyone should be pushing for this game to sell great across all platforms, right? Normally I wouldn't be out there going, yeah, fucking buy this on Quest. But I'm going to be out there saying, fucking buy this on Quest because it's only going to benefit us eventually, right? When Arken Age 2 rolls around and it's a better game because of all the money that they raked in from the Quest audience, sign me up. I'm on board.
Yeah, I think it's going to do moderately well. I don't think it'll like shatter records or anything, just due to the limitation of being supported on Quest 3 and not Quest 2, which don't quote me on that because I'm not 1,000% sure that that's the case, but I am pretty sure after what I've seen of the game that's not running on Quest 2. So it's not like they're selling to the mythical, magical 20 million headset army that people keep referring to, but it's going to be some smaller number, more comparable to what's playing on PSVR2, maybe a little bit more, but it all adds up. And I think you're absolutely right. I think without going too much into the Quest version, I think we've already established this as one of the best games in the VR library this year. And what you say is true, man. If you want them to continue their trajectory, which has been amazing. I mean, they went from Mervils, which was okay at best.
It was fun.
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun. But they went from that to Shadow Legend, which was, featured a lot of firsts for VR, and was amazing. And then from Shadow Legend to Arken Age, which was a huge jump, another huge jump. So the Arken Age sequel or whatever comes next, I would expect similar growth from them and similar expansion of scope. But you do have to have money and resources to be able to build something like that. So people need to support them. So whether it be Quest or PSVR or PC, everyone who's a VR gaming enthusiast should own at least one copy of Arken Age on one platform. So I'm glad it's finally coming to Quest, so that the standalone players of the world have something else awesome to play.
Yeah, I think this probably I think Vitruvius is probably the biggest VR success story we've seen. Right? I think there's been plenty of other ones who seemed like they were on this great trajectory and kind of fizzled out or had a miss here and there. So far, we haven't seen a miss from these guys, and like they are just on top of it in terms of like the technical side of things. Making sure that Arken just looks incredible, regardless of whether you're on the base PS5 or the PS5 Pro. It just looks amazing on PSVR2, using all the features of the headset, all the features of the Sense controllers. So it's not just they make great games, right? They also understand the technical side of things, and it's very rare that you get both of those all in one. I think they're up there with Vertical Robot at this point.
Yeah, that's precisely what I was going to say when you mentioned them as kind of being in a class of their own. The only other name that really jumped into my mind was Vertical Robot. So, good call.
Nice. Let's tackle a couple tips, and then we'll do a viewer takeover question. Then we'll get to some of the news of the day. My coffee machine's beeping at me. I have coffee, so I guess we're all good. Luke Sparling with the Canadian $13.99 says, pizza bet. Reach is awesome. If I'm wrong, this buys your pizza. If I'm right, it's Hawaiian. I'm not taking the bet. I'm not taking the bet because we will get to the Reach conversation soon. But I will say that I think overall, based on what I've seen today, I think people are putting my fears to rest. I needed somebody, like if it wasn't going to be me playing it, I needed somebody that I trust to get in there and go, no, this feels good to play. This is fun, right? And so we'll be getting into that. I think I'm less concerned about Reach than I was before. I thought it looked a little generic, and now I think it seems fine.
Yeah, no, it seems like it's going to be pretty awesome. Again, my only real concern that I've ever had about this game is the concern we have about all In Dreams VR games, and
this big. Sorry.
Yeah, everyone played an hour of the game, or it seems like at least around an hour of the game. I wonder how close they are to being finished with it.
Right. Jamie accidentally platinumed it.
Right.
This thing pops up. He's like, "What the fuck was that?" They're like, "Nothing. Just ignore that.
Nothing.
Ignore that."
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Exactly. So yeah, no, I'm not accepting your pizza bet, Luke. But thank you so much for the contribution. I appreciate it. Listen, I can move my hatred of games onto something else. I'm sure I can easily move it to like let's just talk shit about Thief VR from now on until somebody plays that because because Maze Theory. No, I'm just being a dick. People don't like it when I'm like honest about my feelings on these games, dude. Like.
Yeah, but it's the nature of the internet, man. People don't like anything that you say, and we're only human here, so like obviously peripheral things are going to affect us in our opinion of games that we're speculating about, or even games that we're playing. So like we're certainly never right 100% of the time about these things, and whether we are or we're not, there's always going to be critics out there. So I wouldn't take that to heart too much.
Yeah, I'm not even remotely concerned. Like I've got to be brutally honest. I've got to be honest with about the games that I'm playing and about before we've had a chance to actually play things. It's all about speculation, and what makes me happy. I don't really care that people disagree with me. I think that makes life fun. Like I think when you and I disagree about a game, Wes, which is pretty rare. I enjoy those conversations more than any of our other conversations, our Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife conversations, our After the Fall conversations. I love debating about video games. I love having these conversations because games are supposed to be fun. And if people get mad about video games, then you fucking lost the plot, dude. Like you're somewhere else. I'm not interested about getting mad at video games or about video games. Let's have fun with these, whether they turn out good or bad. Like let's have fun conversations about them. And when people disagree with me, even more fun, right? I was like, and if I'm saying negative things about a game and they're enjoying it more than me, I've never been more happy, right? Because I want games to succeed, and when I think a game is bad and other people think it's good, that makes me happy. That means the company succeeded, like right? They didn't grab me, but they grabbed everyone else, dude. Good stuff.
Yeah, love it.
We got the Game Cat Andrew Ehrenreich with the $5. Says, just had a slice of pepperoni. What is with all the fucking pizza talk? I'm trying to lose some weight. You guys are all about pizza. Just had a slice of pepperoni pizza with habanero honey drizzled on top.
Ooh,
Fucking
that's interesting.
lish. Habanero honey drizzle. Dude, that sounds amazing.
That sounds perfect for chicken wings. I wouldn't think of it as a pizza topping or anything, but like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, habanero hair on it, honey. Sign me up. I love both of those things.
Damn. All right. Well, I just got hungry. I'll just drink more coffee. It'll be fine. All right, guys. Viewer takeover time. Remember, you can always leave viewer takeover question by heading over to our Discord. Click the link in the description below. While you're clicking links, guys, make sure you go subscribe to Wes at Virtual Strangers. He's doing another stream tonight. And you can be like, if you're curious about the Quest version of Arken, that's where you're going to want to be. And also, it's everything. It's not just PSVR2. It's all VR. So go subscribe and go watch some long form content, which is my favorite type of content. But while you're clicking links, click our Discord link. Come join us over there. And that's where you can leave a viewer takeover question, just like Ben Schroeder did. He writes #viewer takeover. I'm glad you're here for this one, Wes, because I feel like this is perfect for your kind of corner of expertise. He says, would you be open to a future where game streaming is good enough to support VR? I know it sounds a little absurd right now, but I think it would be cool to get VR gaming to a place where needing beefy hardware is no longer an issue. Do you think this could ever happen? Why don't you kick it off, Wes, because I feel like I'm not really with it from the technical side on this.
To be honest, I think that this is the inevitable future for all gaming, VR included. As is typically the case, VR will lag behind a little bit traditional gaming in this sense. We'll start to see, consoles and even a lot of these lower spec gaming PCs probably start to vanish over the next decade or two as cloud technology builds out and latency becomes a thing of the past. But I'm going to be honest with you, man. I've tried cloud VR already, and it's already good enough if you've got a good enough like home network. So obviously the gist of the question isn't really so much about home internet and cloud, but rather like 5G, 6G, or what have you, and just having it in the air everywhere. I think that's the end goal. That's where we'll end up. I think being tethered to our rooms and our boxes and wires in general is all going to be phased out by technology in the near future. And I'm very bullish on the idea of it. I think we've always kind of recognized the top barrier to VR adoption is it's still kind of difficult to go out there and put great VR on someone and have them demo it. As VR was starting to gain traction, the pandemic came, so like in-store demos kind of became a thing of the past.
Right.
And beyond that, even if they weren't, like, people don't want to put shit on their face anymore. They don't want to repeat that experience. So it makes it difficult to go out there and do demos. And if you're not demoing VR, there's no way that you can understand just how impactful and awesome it is. So that's always been a barrier for us. So as time goes on and the younger generation who already has tried VR to some extent grows up and cloud streaming becomes more viable, I think that this is going to be when VR really breaks through and becomes like comparable with traditional gaming. But to answer the question, man, I tried a service, man, what was the name of the Pluto Sphere? I think it was called. What it is a cloud PC service that supports streaming VR games, PC VR games, to MetaQuest headset directly from the cloud, no PC required. And while it had its drawbacks in the structure of how they had their service set up, essentially they give you a PC in the cloud that's yours to use. You basically have to buy time with it. Like, you buy tokens to play for so long, but whenever you're done, the PC wipes. So like the beginning of your play session that you pay for every time is you literally downloading and installing all of the software. Like you got to install Steam and Steam VR, and you've got to install the game and all of the stuff that you do once at home and set up. With Pluto Sphere, you have to do that every time you play, which was kind of the big flaw for it. But the good news is that once everything's installed and you're playing, man, it was good. And this was 3 years ago or four, something like that. Like it was good. So I have no question that this is viable technology for VR. Like it's not going to make you uncomfortable. The latency already acceptable if you have good internet. So literally we're just waiting on the cloud to catch up. We're waiting on 5G, 6G to kind of roll out everywhere. And when we get to that point, VR headsets are going to all eventually become tiny things that don't have a lot in them other than networking equipment and things to track. So yeah, I think that this isn't only something that's possible. I think it's something that's inevitable, and it's going to lead to great things for the genre, the technology.
Listen, I totally love that vision of the future. I have a completely different perspective, and it's just me being a gamer perspective. I've been real tired of the console generations for a very long time. I remember getting my PS4 and got it at launch just because I was like, this is the first console I can afford to buy at launch. Oh, I'm just, because I was like finally a normal adult to some degree with like a stable job. It was long before without Parole. Things are no longer stable. And I was like, oh, I can afford one and I can be there day one. How cool will that be? All right, cool. I'll pre-order one. I'll get it from Amazon day one. And I was like, this is great. And then it showed up and I was like, yeah, this isn't, day one PS4 certainly wasn't much better than, late gen PS3, right? That is always like this really slow transition these days from generation to generation. And I just, I was losing interest. We've talked about this a lot. I was losing interest in flat screen gaming because it wasn't enough of a jump, or there wasn't anything that felt new or different or innovative until VR came around. And I was like, oh shit, man! After all this time, I'm suddenly interested in gaming, like full throttle again. Like it is my favorite thing. It's just I had a dip for about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I went out for longer than that, man. It's very much my story too. But I dropped at like the beginning of like Xbox 360, PS3 era. Like I was done then. I had kids and I was very busy, and gaming had literally just gotten to the point where generational updates were just marginal graphical updates, pretty much. Like the games weren't changing. So I literally at that point my gaming habits turned to emulators and retro games and just kind of playing my old favorites over and over again. And I'd kind of fallen out of love with gaming in a lot of respects, and it was PSVR specifically that broke that for me. Yeah, man. So I'm right with you there.
Well, I mean, but the reason I bring this up is because I honestly think that I didn't feel like the PS4 was something I needed power wise. And VR came around and I was like, oh, okay. And then the PS4 Pro came around and I was like, okay, we need a little bit more power for the PSVR 1, and it did help significantly. And then PlayStation 5 rolled around. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be great. There's going to be a new headset. There's going to be like, it's going to be more powerful. But we're really, I feel like getting already again to the point where it's, how much is the PlayStation 6 really going to push things, right? I honestly feel like there were some growing pains with PSVR2 that we didn't expect, which are going to persist through the PS5 and PS5 Pro generation. And then when PS6 gets here, I honestly am like, this is the last console I need, right? I mean, like it really is. I feel like we're almost there. When you look at things like how great Madison looks, and it's like practically photorealistic and it's running 90 frames native, but we want open world games to be able to run that look that realistic and are running at 90 frames native. Great. If the PlayStation 6 doesn't fucking get us there, then I'm come on. What are we even having console generations for anymore, right?
So for what it's worth, on a quick side note here, it seems over the course of the last week that we've had some specs for PS6 drop that
Yep.
come from fairly reliable sources. And if it's true, then this might be the last console that we need for quite a while,
Yeah.
because they're basically saying this thing is it's going to be as powerful as RTX 5090 PC, which is what I run. It's state of the art. Like you can't get a better PC right now than RTX 5090. And beyond that, they say that the jumps in like pure compute um, ability are not really the headline with it. The thing that's going to really set it apart are the integration of AI features into
Right.
the process. So like this is, if all of this is true, then we will see a real change in this console generation, much more profound than what we saw from 3 to 4 or from 4 to 5. So yeah, you're right, man. Like I regularly play flat games in VR on my PC with my 5090. I've never had it hiccup, man. It just burns through anything I throw at it. So if we get a console that can do this, like we're going to be good for a while.
Yeah, and that's just why I don't really think that, does cloud gaming need to be a thing? Like, I mean, maybe 20 years from now, right, when there's been some massive advancements in computer technology. But I think for the next 15 years, like once PlayStation 6 is here, like I think I'm going to be good for a long time. And I think if you can't optimize your game on that, then maybe you need to go back to video game development school. Okay, so. Yeah. So cloud gaming always seems like this nice idea, but the necessity of it is just in question for me personally. But man, I'm playing the Skyrim trailer. I remember how good this fucking looked on the PS4 Pro. Like
yes,
in
I
VR.
do. It was the most, at least early on, it was the most obvious upgrade out of any of the games. Like Skyrim was kind of iffy on PS4, man. It was amazing. Skyrim VR ran it all on PS4. When you look at the specs of what PS4 OG had in it, like it shouldn't be able to run VR at all. Like it's like Quest 1 comparable in terms of like the compute that it carried. So really amazing that it ran any of this stuff at all. But PS4 Pro was a notable step up for cases that need it, and certainly VR was one of those cases. And Skyrim, just the way it eliminated the pop-in on Skyrim was a game changer in and of itself. Not to mention all of the other kind of upgrades that we saw from it.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I guess the point is that like we've seen so many great things already on the PS5, PS5 Pro, PS4 Pro. That like I just feel like if PlayStation 6 doesn't tie it all together, then Sony massively screwed up, right? Like if this doesn't seem to be like the de facto console that we need for a very long time, I feel like they screwed up. So, and at that point, I'll be like, well, maybe it's time to do some PC gaming. Yeah, who knows? All right. Well, thank you, Ben Schroeder. That was a fun conversation. We got Not Sure Brondo in the chat says, when and where will GameCat Meetup 2026 be? Dude, it seems like Vegas, and we were just trying to figure out what the right dates for that would be, and that's all going to kind of depend on sort of pricing and what events are going to be happening. Yeah.
For what it's worth, wife has designated a few areas of time where the pricing is a bit more affordable in terms of rooming and lodge. Mm-hmm. So we're going to converse about that behind the scenes, everyone, and we'll have I got to imagine fairly soon what we'll have an answer so everyone can begin
start planning. Yeah. We'd like it to be, in conjunction with something else happening there. I've heard that there's horror conventions that happen like around that area. There's got to be some gaming conventions, right? So like the great thing about the PAX meetup was that PAX was right there. There's a gaming thing to go to every single day of the meetup, right? We're completely unable to plan things for a group that's just like not financially feasible, right? Like going out and hanging out and getting dinner together and shooting the shit, going to a bar, that kind of stuff. Great. But like to actually plan something or like rent a room somewhere, like we just don't have that capability. So we do need to make sure that there's something in conjunction with it. What's that?
This is the cool thing. So if you're planning on staying cheap
Yeah.
in Vegas, which I imagine most of us are planning on doing, then you're going to stay at a casino. That's where the rooms are cheap. That's where you're going to be able to find availability and not break yourself in terms of paying for your room. The cool thing about Vegas is like these casinos are literally everywhere on the strip. Every one of them is like a giant mall. So like there are dozens of like restaurants in each one and things like that that you can like if we need to go have like a bite of food, and I'm not just talking about like bullshit food court stuff. That's there too. But like there's high end like Wolfgang Puck's restaurants right in like a normal casino. Beyond that, yes, we're aiming to kind of time this with some other convention or something that we can all do. But if we go at any time, there's stuff to do. Like there's a pinball museum, which I haven't been to, but I heard is awesome.
I would go to
There's the
that.
Sphere. There's location-based VR there. Like there's a zero latency there that we can go play location-based VR at. And then of course I've said it 1,000 times. Like we have to go to Omega Mart. I think that'll be the highlight of everyone's trip. So, yeah, whether or not we're able to line up with conventions, I'm sure that we'll have a blast.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and yeah, we just got to make a concerted effort to like really pinpoint something, and then get the word out to you guys as soon as possible. Because yeah, I mean, I think everybody would like to book their flights before the new year. You know, book their hotels before the new year. Like, you know, because if it's happening in March, April, May, that kind of thing, it's going to be here before you know it. So we'll keep you posted. Thanks, Brando. We got Grandpa's Barbecue or Game Cat with the level 1 membership says, "Oh, you fools! Hot honey on pizza is the best." I'm starting to wonder if you just had a cheese pizza, like does there need to be meat toppings in order for this hot honey to really like bring it all together, or could it just literally be a cheese pizza with hot honey drizzled over the top? Sounds like it's
Yeah, it sounds like a crust dipper to me. Like I like my pizza to have a good edible crust on the end of it, but I don't need a bunch of sauce on my pizza, bro. Like pepperoni, cheese. I'm pretty straightforward with that. But this stuff sounds like it would be amazing to take that last bit and like dip and eat. So I'm gonna have to look into it.
Slayer the Underground Game Cat with a Canadian $5 retracted their message. I can only imagine what it said, but the very next tip is also from Slayer the Underground Game Cat. Hopefully tip only went through one time. Let me know if it doesn't. So how's it going, Wes and Brian? Just bought Surviving Mars Pioneer. I'm going to start playing it after GamesCast Live. Sweet. So yeah, I've seen so much love for Surviving Mars Pioneer, whether it just be in the live chat here or in the comments, previous GamesCast or under the review. So happy that people are getting in and getting hooked on it the same way that I did, because Surviving Mars, again, just doesn't, I don't think it sells itself very well. The footage doesn't look very, interesting or fun, and is all kind of the same type of environments for the most part. And it's like, unless you're in there and you know what you're doing and you have that, that drive moving you forward, because you're constantly doing a lot of the same things, but for different reasons. And unless you know what's happening in the player's mind, the footage all just kind of looks the same. So I think it's a hard sell, but I'm really, really hoping that people give it a shot despite that, and actually listen to the words in my review, rather than just going, "Oh, it looks like a bland base builder." It's so good.
Yeah, it does. It does kind of look like that. And to be honest, when we signed this title, I was concerned about it, like because I knew what the scope of the game was. We did have a lot of limitations from the IP holder regarding what we could make the game into. Like we couldn't. There were certain things we weren't allowed to do because they want to keep their franchise in a certain area, and they don't want you to go outside of that, which is certainly their right to do, right? So I had questions about the scope of the game and the direction of the game, and was really worried that it wasn't going to translate to the wider audience as a survival game. Typically, survival games aren't for everyone anyway. But I've been surprised every time, when it comes to PC, when it comes to Quest, And now when it comes to PSVR2, it seems like people just love it. And I always hear this same line. I'm 10 hours in and just really getting hooked on it. And that's an amazing thing. If you hear that about a VR game, then you did something right. So super proud of the team there at Bulwark and Flat to VR, and so happy that so many people are getting along well with it now on PSVR2.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I keep forgetting that Flat to VR is involved. I just, in my head, I'm like, genotype people. Beetlejuice. Maybe they'll just show up. Killers1, the Dreamweaver Gamecat with the $5 tip, says, been hashing out some ideas for new artwork already. So excited. So much fun to have out there. Dude, I feel like Killers practically killed himself trying to get the artwork done for last year's meetup. Please, I hope it's more fun this time around. It seems like you were on such like a fucking horrible schedule and just working around the clock trying to get the artwork done. But I hope you're making it fun for yourself and not stressing yourself out too much about it. Because we love it, man. We really do. We love the artwork that you make for these meetups. But there's a little part of me that's also like, like, oh man, like he spent so much time on this. Like,
yeah,
we want it to be fun. And so as long as it's fun, great. But if it's not, then don't pressure yourself.
Yeah, please don't try to top yourself every time, because like this last time was just way above and beyond. I mean, we had all like 4 individual pictures that worked together to make this big awesome collage, and there were different versions of it that he brought for people to choose from, and it was really a nice. Here we go. Thank you, wife. So this was the I don't know how well you guys can see that, but this is what it all turned out to be.
Oh no, and, it's an invisibility cloak. The second you put it up, even you disappear.
Oh no, well I can't show it off. But,
hey, appreciate the effort at least.
But anyway, it's amazing. Obviously, so much time and effort goes into it, and Brian's right, man. You need to have fun with the process, and not to mention the great expense that you go to in order to print this out and bring everyone at least one. Many of us get more than one, so like it's too much, bro. So we're just basically saying, I'm sure whatever you decide to do is going to be great. You don't have to keep scaling up, bro. You're not Vitruvius VR. Take it easy and just have fun with the process. And I'm sure whatever you decide to bring along, it'll be great.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I am gonna be a little bit sad. Oh, this is artwork from 2024 meetup. Perfect. I'm gonna be a little bit sad not doing it at PAX again. It feels like, because it started to become a tradition. We did it a couple of years in a row, and it's like, PAX sort of became part of what we do. So I'm hoping Vegas is a lot of fun, because I mean, how could it not be? But I'm hoping Vegas is a lot of fun, because I need something to one up the already cool experience that we were having.
Yeah.
All right, man. We haven't even gotten to the topic of the show, and we are 40 minutes deep. So let's get to at least the Firmament news. If you've played Firmament on PSVR 2, then the frame rate is pretty bad. And we were sort of just waiting for them. It's a small team, man. It's a small team over at Cyan World. So like, we were just trying to be patient. We're trying to be respectful, and hoping that they were going to come back with a respectful response, saying, yeah, we hear you. The frame rate's pretty rough. We understand that it's making people sick. We understand that it's super fucking choppy. And instead, today, they came out with this response. We do not have any announcements to make yet regarding a patch. I do like they said yet. What we can/will say is that our performance testing met PlayStation's performance requirements for release, which means that PlayStation certification testing team did not report extended frame drops below the required frame rate for the game to release. We understand that some reviewers may have had expected a higher frame rate experience like what some other games on the console offer. We don't have the frame rate set to anything as high as 120 Hz native based on the graphical expectations for the game, which may not hit the expectations for these users. Unfortunately for them, Firmament graphical requirements do not allow us to offer a higher frame rate limit at this time. Other folks have found this an acceptable trade-off, as they appreciate the visual shown, but it's really up to the player's preferences. We do not wish to compromise visual fidelity for higher frame rates at this time. Hopefully that answers your question. They're blaming gamers for their low frame rates.
Yeah, but that's not even what really struck me the strongest about this. It's their example of players' expectations. Like everyone expected this to be 120 hertz, as
Right?
if any of the other games are really doing that. Like we hit it on a very rare occasion, but that's not what people are talking about here, nor is it what they're expecting. You know,
Yeah.
they just want it to be somewhat smooth, even if you have to, reproject 45 frames up to 90. It should be somewhat smooth, even if there are like, ghosting elements when you move around. The frame rate should feel smooth enough to keep people somewhat comfortable enough to play the game. And I can't speak too much to the PlayStation version of this. Once I heard everyone's reaction to it, I just didn't even bother trying it. But man, they act like this is some like super beautiful world that would be hampered to get it running at a respectable frame rate here. And it's not even that. Like, I mean, it's an okay looking game, but like it's not like it's some big beautiful graphical. It's not Riven, it's not the Riven remake. Um,
Right.
so like, yeah, just so tone deaf on so many different levels here, and really, I'm surprised at what a cop out this seems to be.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like Looper in the chat says, isn't it also blurry? It's like, yes, that's the other part of it. It's not like it's running like super, super sampled high resolution, and they're like, yeah, fidelity mode looks so good, so you're gonna have to deal with some frame rate drops. No, it doesn't. It's not even like that great resolution wise, and so like they didn't hit a good resolution, they didn't hit a good frame rate, and really what this does is, more than anything else. I mean, I think the whole way they framed it was pretty douchey. But on top of that,
Oh yeah, yeah. Like, um, oh, we made it through Sony QA. Like,
right,
like that's some fucking like milestone. The Suicide Guy VR made it through Sony QA.
all right,
You know what I mean? Like, come on, guys.
right. All it's doing is showing the inconsistencies that Sony's QA process already has. We've already known that it can be an absolute nightmare to get through. So why are some games getting a pass while other games are being held back for practically non-existent issues? This is just they don't have, apparently they don't have a very consistent team over there. And I know that sometimes you go to CERT and you deal with one set of people, and then you go through CERT again and you deal with another set of people, right? And so they're dinging you for different reasons each time. Sometimes the first group didn't see anything, and it's just, listen, I play games that have frame rate issues, right? Like, I mean, like for everything I've said about the Midnight Walk performance issues, I still love that game and I think it's great, and I played through the entire thing despite any technical problems. I play Phasmophobia all the time, and some of those redesigned maps are horrible frame rate wise, right? This game made me sick. Like, I had to literally stop playing it. So to give you an idea of how bad the frame rate is, I had to literally stop playing it because it was making me sick to my stomach. I've been playing VR for almost 10 years, and very few games have ever made me sick. And this game is one of them that does, especially in the area that I'm showing right now. This is just practically impossible to get through. It's nauseating, and for them to say, oh, 120 native, sorry, we can't get it up that high. No, dude, we didn't even care. We didn't even expect you to get it up to 90 hertz native, right? We were expecting you to run it 60, reproject it to 120 because we know you're not going to put in that much effort to the VR version. And that would have been totally fine. Like, we're not asking for, we weren't asking for that much, and for this message to make it sound like we were asking for the world, it's just, it's so fucking tone deaf, man.
Yeah.
I had a lot of respect for these guys and was trying to be very patient with their, and then they come up with this response, and I'm like, this, if you're looking to lose all respect from everybody involved, then you just fucking nailed it. Well done.
Yeah, it pains me to read this because I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this studio. I
Me
love their
too.
games and the worlds that they create. Um, but this just kind of seems a lot like the abduction thing all over again, right? With different problems exactly, but not. I expect we're going to see a very similar outcome with this. Like, one day it will get better, but it's going to be because the hardware gets better. It's not going to be because of anything that they're doing. Um, I do want to give them some credit for sticking to it. This Firmament version came to PSVR well late after the game came to other platforms. And after a certain amount of time, you start to wonder if they're going to stick to their promises and end up delivering. And to their credit, they did end up delivering the game all this time later. So they deserve credit for that. But man, like I they probably don't even support like pro, right? Right? Like if you're having
They
like
do, if you can believe it.
Oh, they do actually. Okay.
Yeah, it's a resolution increase of all things, right? Like it's not a great looking game, right? And so yeah, it could definitely use better resolution and better frame rates, but the resolution increase is so minuscule that unless you're playing it back to back, you're never even going to notice the pro enhancement. It's like, bro, why didn't you focus on the frame rate? If you were able to get a little extra power out of the pro, why didn't you focus on the thing that was obviously an issue?
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I would have much preferred a canned response here that we're aware of the issues that some players are having and we're working on it behind the scenes. Hopefully sometime we'll have an update to address some of these things. That would have been enough right there, and everyone would be happy with that. But now they're just like, well, your guys' expectations were out of line. That's such a cop out.
I mean, Chrome Colossus said it. He said no answer would have been a better answer. I totally agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right, let's get on to some better news. Today, we got, man. I was getting a little bit nervous about GamesCast, right? I was like, oh, there's no news happening today. Like, what are we going to talk about? We always find shit to talk about. I love hanging out with you, Wes, even if there's nothing to talk about. But then all of a sudden, boom, 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 I was like, oh, all these Reach impressions dropped everywhere, and I was like, oh, great, we have something to talk about. And although neither one of us played Reach, we did get, we're very, very interested in taking in everybody's impressions and kind of analyzing that. And massive shout out to friend of the show, Jammy Hero, who is let us use this footage here from his channel. The link for his channel is in the description below. He went and played this very cool exclusive event where he was able to play Reach. There's two different versions going on here. It seems like he was able to play like a high-end PC version at the event, and then at home was able to play a low-end PC build. So he's kind of going back and forth between these two. And man, he had a lot to say, man. It's a 10-minute video. Please show your support to Jamie. Go over to his channel, subscribe to him, watch the video, click like on that, right? Because we're essentially stealing the video right now, and he could use all the views he can get, man. I don't travel, man. I don't go anywhere, right? That's work to go somewhere and film stuff, and then come back and then edit something together. That's days. That's days just to make like a 10-minute video. So show Jamie your support. That's what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely.
Wes, did you watch through Jamie's impressions?
Yeah, I've watched Jammies and maybe one other one today, and I've read a little bit about it. So yeah, I have a decent grasp on it.
All right. Well, here's what I pulled out of it. Like again, everyone seems to be playing the PC build, and what Dreams is saying is that the PSVR2 version should look pretty much identical to the high-end PC stuff with some minor improvements here and there, especially when it comes to the controls. But it didn't seem like they really went into specifics about what we should expect as PSVR2 gamers. But just kind of going through the notes that I was taking while watching Jamie's video, he said he said it seems a little bit linear so far, but traversal feels good. And I think that was the number one thing we were all concerned about. It's like, hey, if this game is all about running and jumping, parkour, climbing, whatever it is, then this better feel great. And it sounds like it is great. Especially, and I'm glad he brought up Call of the Mountain during the video, because when a game is all climbing, it can get old. But it sounds like there's a lot of climbing in here, but it's not as slow paced in one hand, another, like Call of the Mountain is. This is more, more visceral, more momentum based. Literally, like taking one ledge and throwing yourself to another ledge, right? Sounds like it may be a little bit more like stride than Call of the Mountain, which is, evident even from the footage here.
Yeah, apparently they've got some gesture-based controls enabled here, which at once upon a time, those words were poison to me. Like I don't I don't like that sort of thing typically in VR, but I have seen the light. Um, I played Zix, which launches on PC and Steam.
Yeah.
I want to say tomorrow, and it's completely built around similar controls to what they're describing here in this Reach game. And not only does it work, it works very well. So, like gesture-based controls can be a great thing for VR and for immersion, but they have to be intuitive. And I didn't never felt like Stride was completely intuitive. I felt like it was a little too much. Like the gestures had to be a little too great, and there was too much of it. It was too much of a workout. And it sounds like these Reach devs have kind of found a good balance here to make this a more fast-paced game. And you're right, it isn't all about climbing. There's a lot of platforming and like parkour that kind of drive the traversal in the game. So luckily, from what I've heard so far, the most concerning thing about the game, the traversal, seems to be what people are most high about, or one of the things people are most high about with this game, which is very, very encouraging.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. And I think Jamie's video and his coverage seemed like very, very positive overall. After this, I think I want to take a quick look at what Ian Higdon had to say, which I think was I think Ian still has some concerns, right? But I will say that thankfully all this footage today has, I think, it's turned me around significantly. Like we were talking earlier about the pizza bet, I was just like, man, knowing that people have gotten in here and felt really good about how it plays and how good it looks in the headset. These are all things that are taking some very important boxes here. But he didn't just talk about the traversal. He talked about the combat and all of the different enemies that there are, which obviously can be really important. You fight the same enemy over and over; it's going to get really boring really fast. And he said there's a good variety of enemies with different weapons that kind of create some tactical challenges. And obviously bow and arrow games. Like again. Man, it's so difficult to talk about this because you guys know how many concerns I've had about it over the past, how many months since it's been announced. And so even while I'm talking about this and hearing great things from the people who played it, I still have these concerns about like, oh, we've kind of played this before. That's what Jamie said going into this video. He said I had concerns. Like we've sort of seen all this before, right? Running and jumping and climbing, whatever. And then even like you get a bow and arrow. How many VR games have bow and arrows? And don't get me wrong. There's a reason, right? Because it feels so good. So fortunately, it feels good here too, and you get different, arrow types, and even better, everything seems to be upgradable. The shield, very Captain America style, right? So you use that gesture-based controls that Wes was talking about to summon the shield, throw it to use in combat, use as a platform to jump around, to get to higher ledges, and even to use in puzzles, right? So it does feel like there's more here than meets the eye.
Yeah. We often judge these games through that scope of how innovative is it? Have we seen this before? And sometimes it can be concerning when you see these like big budget, high hopes, high speculation, high anticipation games kind of coming out and doing things that you've seen before. I mean, on the surface, this bow and arrow seems pulled straight out of Horizon Call of the Mountain, based just on how it works, or how it seems to work, or how it seemed to work from the trailers. But it does stand to reason that these bigger scope, bigger budget games, they don't have to rewrite the book, man, because while we may have seen this element of the game present in some other game and that element of the game present in some other game, it's very rare that we get these big games like this that kind of pull one thing from here and one thing from there and kind of get it all to work together in its own way. And I think that that's what we're seeing here. They're taking stuff that's been done before, but they're perfecting it not only in a jar by itself, but they're kind of integrating it into the big picture in a way maybe that hasn't been done before. We've seen some things here from Horizon, for example, but we've never seen it done with this kind of traversal that's more fast paced and flowy. Um, the with the regard to the archery specifically, I remember one of the things that Jamie said was, while yeah, you've got the same kind of type of arrow types that you've seen in other games and things like this before. A lot of the combat in the game is dictated by scarcity of resources and ammo. I
Mm.
love that. Like, so you can't just go through here blasting away with your guns or your arrows or anything, but you have to actually think about it, not only from am I going to run out of ammo perspective, but apparently these arrows have like an area of effect. It isn't all about the guy you shoot, but it's also about the guy that's next to him. So when you take that into consideration with the fact that there's scarcity, you have to pick and choose what type of arrow you're going to use specifically in this scenario. And you have to kind of lather, rinse, and repeat that for every room and every scenario that you encounter. And that's the type of uncommon depth that we count on these games to provide. And so far, it seems very promising in that regard.
Yeah, uncommon depth and dreams don't tend to go well together, right? And dreams' biggest problem, I mean, we're just going to ignore Ghostbusters, but other than that, like they've made great games, but just were like way too short. And this is a question that's still not answered for us, right? We're talking about a supposedly AAA studio or their attempt to make a AAA game, and charging a bit more, I think, than we do have a price on this, right? Isn't this price on the PlayStation Store?
I want to say this is a $50 game, but that's
All right.
just off the top of my head. I don't know that.
Fortunately, it's 40, right? So that puts it in
40.
line with, Alien Rogue Incursion when that dropped, Metro Awakening, right? So sort of these like single A, right, high end games for VR. So that puts it right in line with like the what we expect to pay for top tier VR games. Arken Age was 40, and that sold big. So. Yeah, so hopefully, I mean, listen, if it's 8 to 10 hours, I think I'll be happy. I'm not looking for like a 20-hour game. If they make a solid 8 to 10 hour game that's fun the whole way through, I'll be pretty happy. And I'm really happy to see the divisiveness of the comments in the chat here, because some people are saying this looks great, and some people are saying, yeah, this does look like stuff we've seen and done before. So I'm glad, man. For me, this creates more anticipation, right? So for it to just be like a game that we know is going to be good, it's like, all right, well, that's not that exciting. It's sort of the question mark that makes the anticipation that much better. So what the fuck did he say? Oh, there was one more thing. There was one thing that I'm really glad he pointed out that I didn't I've been curious about, because I hadn't seen it in any of the trailers or any of the gameplay footage so far, but he mentioned it just very briefly in passing. It seems like it's using the same cover-based system that Fract and Synapse used, right? Grab onto almost any wall, any barrier, whatever, and you pull yourself in and out of cover. Boom. He said he didn't use it very much because he didn't have to, right? But we're talking about a kind of a fast-paced demo here, where like maybe I don't think the developers want to put you into these slow-paced situations. So I'm hoping that it does become more of a necessity like later in the game.
Yeah, is there something else? Just a quick remark that I found very refreshing about this media preview is oftentimes when we see these, for example, like the one I went and did for Behemoth, um, while it was, while it contained a lot of content that was pulled from the game, the experience that I played itself was not a level from the game. It was a made for the media demo, kind of in a jar type of thing. And oftentimes when that's the case, you can't accurately kind of gauge how the performance is going to be, among other things. It seems here that everyone was just being allowed to play the game, or at least from what I've seen so far. It sounds like that they just let them go and let people go for some time just playing the game, and that's great. And of course, correct me if I'm wrong. Games with T is in the chat. Everyone say hello to Games with T. Games with T actually attended the event as well and was to play and cover this on his channel. So yeah, correct me if any of my speculation turns out to be wrong about this, but this seems like a very uncommon um, kind of demo event, and I mean that in the best way possible.
So yeah, I don't want to read through Ian's entire article here because I mean he just kind of retreads a lot of what we've already talked about. But yeah, Ian has a little bit more of a mixed perspective on this, saying that it starts off high intensity and then it starts slowing down. He said by the end of his demo that he played, he was kind of ready for it to be over, and that's not the kind of thing you want to hear. Let's see what we have here. You did say the puzzle rooms added a bit of much needed variety. And he says, based on the trailers, this is where a lot of the game is going to be set, these underground worlds. He says, the final level I played in the demo, which featured a few combat arenas and areas for stealthy takedowns, my foes were an assortment of cut-and-paste robot warriors. They sucked up arrows with minimal reactions to their impact and then just flipped and faded away once their health hit zero, compared to the way the human enemies in the prologue, the beginning, collapsed onto the floor, slammed into the scenery, or dramatically tumbled from the windows. Killing the robot enemies felt weightless and slow, even with the added ability to fling myself around the level like a Poundland Spider-Man with my new grapple hook power. I soon became bored by the grind. Here's hoping that the later levels in Reach can bring back the excitement I felt during the prologue, because by the end of my hour-long demo, I was already tiring of the underground locations and the enemies within. I still enjoyed my time with the game, don't get me wrong, and after playing through the thrilling opening and nail-biting anti-gravity climbing section, the rest of the demo felt like an anti-climax that plodded along. I'm slightly worried it might retain that pace up until the ending. So, still, words of warning. Listen, and I don't want to put on anything on Ian here. I feel like Ian... I hopefully he watches this, and I probably should have messaged him before the show to get an official statement. But it felt like Ian's been falling out of love with VR recently, right?
Yeah, I'm glad that you said it, because it's exactly what I was thinking. And don't get me wrong, I have a lot of respect for Ian Higdon. His thoughts are often very thoughtful and nuanced when he does something like this. And it's good to have that perspective. But he's not just a VR guy like many of us are. He's a crossover guy. He covers flat games mostly, but he happens to be the resident VR guy. So so he also covers VR games. But unlike like the guys at IGN or somewhere else, he is entrenched in VR. Like he mods PC VR games and plays them. Like he is a VR guy, so don't get me wrong. But I have increasingly over the course of the last year or two have found myself disagreeing with his takes more than I used to. So there is that. I don't know if it's that he's falling out of love with VR, or if he's trying to be more critical, or if his taste may just be different than mine. There's something to be said for that. Like the thing I mentioned a moment ago about having to be more tactical about how you engage in combat. That's something that can very much slow the pacing of the game down to a halt, right? When you start implementing puzzles and having to be strategic about how you attack enemies, then you can't just run and gun through the whole game. And it sounds to me here like that might be more appealing to him, as if it were more like Stride or something like that, where you're just running through it the whole time. I'm not that way. Like I prefer to take a more deliberate pace most of the times. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate a good action sequence, man, that if they're timed correctly, like it can really set an okay experience over the top. Especially one that's like, cinematic, like these types of games are. But yeah, I'm very much in your frame of mind here with regard to Ian and his coverage. There has seemed to be some disconnect recently with between what he thinks about certain games and what I think about.
Yeah, and that's, definitely no disrespect from either one of us towards Ian. We love Ian. He's a great guy. We've been following his stuff on his own channel platform, 30 2, is that what it's called? And of course the Eurogamer stuff he does. He does a lot of VR stuff, and I totally respect his opinion. It just seems like, yeah, watching him become increasingly more negative about stuff, it doesn't. And the last thing I want to do is like blame the reviewer for for what could very well be actual concerns about a game. But I just wanted to share that with you guys because it's very easy, I think, for everyone to fall into the trap of being like, hey, it's this new, it's the new big thing, it's coming to VR, and we got a chance to play it. Like, and now it sounds like I'm shitting on Jammy, which I'm not. I love Jammy, but we get a chance to play it before anyone else, and there's sort of like this level of excitement there that just leads to feeling even more excited about something, maybe more than you should be. And so, I just wanted to present a little bit of balance here. That's the reason for bringing Ian stuff into it. And I see Corey Reviews and others in the chat says, I don't like this guy. He sounds so negative. Trust me, read the full article. Go over to Eurogamer and read the full article. I picked out the negative stuff, right? He actually talks about how exciting the opening of the game was and how much he enjoyed certain parts of it. But we already talked about that from Jammy's stuff. I think Ian had a very balanced first impression article. So that's, I made him sound more negative than he is.
And for what it's worth, I think it's a valuable thing for us to take a measured approach in terms of our hype and speculation and anticipation for games, because oftentimes, I think more often than not, the VR the VR player base is very passionate, of course, and enthusiastic. And most of the time, or at least it seems like most of the time, those anticipation and speculations get so inflated for these games, these higher profile ones, that when they come out, they never can live up to what we've built them up to in our heads. So oftentimes games get underrated for that reason. So I think it's a very valuable thing for all of us to take a more measured approach and be skeptical about these, and really take critical commentary such as Ian's here, and say, hey, maybe he's dead on about this. Like maybe it really isn't that great in these certain ways. And then at the end of the day, when the game comes out to play it, maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised that it was actually better than we thought, versus the other way around, like typically seems to be the case.
Yeah. All right, man. So I think that about covers that. Let's tackle a couple tips, man. And then we'll do a little 4-minute challenge. We got Gabe Cato with the Australian $10. What's up, dude? Says, OMG. Excuse me. Been playing Exo Cars. Wait. What do you mean Exo Cars? Yeah, I thought you were playing 90s Extreme Skiing. I don't understand. How could you possibly have time to play Exo Cars? You only play 90s Extreme Skiing. Just checking. Been playing Exo Cars Arena Battle Mode. It's actually hilariously fun and controls beautifully once you upgrade your buggy. Yeah, that was the thing with Exo Cars. You upgrade your buggy to the max, and then suddenly it feels good to play. My fave underrated PSVR2 experience since you got it in here. 90s Extreme Skiing multiplayer. Have you tried it? Yeah. I don't think I've tried the arena mode since they added that. This was another one where they just seemed like they were patching it like very frequently. They had like a big long roadmap, and I was like, I'll get back to this when they've done a bunch of improvements, because jumping into something and seeing one small improvement and then another small improvement and then another small improvement, it's just like, all right, I want to jump back in and feel like the game's done, like they finished it. But it sounds like it might be time. Exo Cars had so much potential, and maybe time to see if they've finally delivered on it.
Yeah, I played a little bit of it, I want to say, when it was first implemented, and I don't mean on PlayStation VR, I mean like the PC version of the game. I was not a big fan of it at the time, but it was kind of early on, and the experience wasn't all of that like smooth. It seemed a little bit buggy. It was now, with that said, it could play right into what he's saying here, that it's kind of crazy scenario. I will back him up on that. My experience of it was kind of off the wall in a very literal way with me flipping the buggy and like getting stuck in certain spots and people just flying around everywhere, landing on your head, kill you. It was a bit chaotic, and I can see where there could be some like slapstick fun to be had there if you can manage to get, your friends in the same lobby with you. Um, so I wasn't a fan of the arena mode at that time, but it sounds like they've made some improvements on it here. So maybe next time we get in and check out Exo Cars, we'll flip through some of the game modes a little bit more and see how they're coming.
Yeah, I think it'd be great if we managed to get this to be a Sunday multiplayer game over on our Discord. So that would be great to be able to pack the lobbies and be able to test everything out without being like, hey, can't find anyone to play with, because I'm assuming that the lobbies have fizzled out. But luckily we have our Discord. Everyone come join our Discord. That's where you can get these, where you can find matches of these games. It's good. Hamoud said, has this even gone on sale yet? What was it, $20 when it launched? I don't know if it's been on sale. You'd have to check PS prices.
I want to say that the pricing was fair. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I think we were both, even in its early state, I think we recommended it to people as being worth what they were asking, so yeah.
Yeah, I think my thing was that I was most disappointed with the implementation of the racing wheel support. It just felt like a completely different game than, like, you couldn't play it. You couldn't drive as fast as you wanted to using the racing rig, whereas you could if you're using analog sticks, sitting back and just flicking the stick. But anyway, I don't even want to talk shit about it, because they could have fixed all of this by now. I know that they were tweaking all of the controls, so hopefully they have. All right, man. 4-minute challenge time. Have you picked out a game, Wes?
Yes, sir. I have a game.
Excellent. You guys know how this works. Wes picked out a game. Could be PSVR 1, maybe PSVR 2, and we have an infinite number of yes or no questions to ask him, but only 4 minutes to ask them in. So make sure you ask good questions in the chat, yes or no questions, and then based on the answers we get, suggest good games that it might be. We did this on Monday. We did this on Monday's episode. It was just me versus the chat. Whew, it was a mess. It was a mess.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't step in, by the way, and join you Monday, but it was Monday, bro. You know how Mondays are for us. It's kind of a crazy time.
I always, whenever it comes down to doing a solo GAMESCAST, I always get nervous. I'm like, man, I just did one of these a couple of weeks ago. People probably don't want to see another one. And then, and then after 2 hours, it ends, and I feel like I had an amazing therapy session, and we all were just a little bit closer than we were before. It's always a good time. All right, man. Let's put the clock up on the counter the way that Jeremy likes it. 4 minutes. God, I'm totally gonna suck at this. Also, I don't know how to spell minute, apparently. Why isn't this popping up? Here we go. On my mark, get Des, go. All right, is this on PSVR 2?
No.
Oh, great. I'm fucked. Is this a horror game?
No.
Is it scary at all in any way? Creepy, zombies, anything that could be even tangentially related to horror?
I wouldn't call it horror in any sense of the word. Okay. There are some intimidating scenes in it, and some things that would probably scare people as well, but not. I wouldn't call it horror.
Okay. Is it on other platforms like PC or Quest?
Yes.
Cool. Do you shoot guns in it?
I don't recall shooting any guns in it, but maybe.
Is there combat? Are there enemies?
I don't think so.
Okay. Interesting. Is it sci-fi? Asked Scott.
I would say that yes, there's definitely a prominent sci-fi angle to it.
Did we discuss did we even mention the developer of this game on today's show?
Yeah, actually I think we did.
Oh, right. I am thinking, in my head, you guys, right now, it's The Assembly. Was this a launch PSVR 1 game?
No.
I think The Assembly was at launch. Is it sci-fi? Did we already ask that?
Yeah.
I'm losing my mind.
You did. You
Are
did,
there puzzles?
and it is.
Okay. Are there puzzles? Okay,
Yes,
Looper. Uh, can you play this on the flat screen?
you can.
Whoa. Okay, Tatum's asking if it's a walking sim.
No, it's not a walking sim.
Okay. Any roguelite elements? Asked Josh.
No.
No. Looper says, is it chapter 1?
I don't think so. I wish, but I don't think so.
All right. Yeah, I was only thinking of loading human with that one. But that was also a launch game. Did this come out in the first 2 years of the headset?
Yeah, I think it did actually.
Okay. Puzzles? Do you think? Would you call it a puzzle game?
I would, yes.
Okay, so lots of puzzles. Not, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of combat. Early game, first 2 years. Play. Wait, you said it's playable on the flat screen?
It is, yes.
What the fuck?
Which I guess I should caveat my response of when it came out in the first
Yeah.
2 years. I'm not 100% sure that the VR implementation of the game came out in the first 2 years. I do know that the game itself launched within the first 2 years of PSVR.
Fair, totally fair. All right, you guys just gotta start throwing some puzzle games at me. We got a minute left. Throw as many puzzle games as you can at me. Is it? Would you consider? Is it a good game?
I think it's a great game. The PSVR version of the game may be as good as that.
Oh, good call, Looper. Is it? Is this a game by Cyan Worlds?
It is a game by Cyan World.
Oh no. Oh God. Well, I guess that gets us there, doesn't it? Is this Abduction?
This game is Abduction, Ryan.
That's
well
so
done.
good.
Ryan, well done, Looper, well done, chat.
Dude, I wasn't like the fact that it was a developer that we actually talked about on today's show narrowed it down significantly. The fact that it's also playable on the flat screen, there's just like 10 games that maybe 5 games, maybe I guess if you really thought about it, only one game that met all of those criteria. We didn't talk about that many developers today. It was either Endreams or it was Cyan or that's about it.
This is a great game. I think this is probably my favorite Cyan game that I've played in VR. But when I say that, I mean on PC because the PlayStation version was not on the same level as the PC version.
Yeah, really, really sad because I don't know how far I got. I got a few hours in, but it was really rough. It was teleport only on the base PS5. Base PS4. You would teleport like 3 times, and then it would go to a loading screen. Like, you weren't going through like any doors or anything like that. It was just hit a loading screen every 3 teleports, and you're like, Jesus, it's just getting across this really big, barren landscapes. It felt like it took too long. It wasn't fun. Cyan games are pretty good looking visually, and like, man, this just does not look good in VR. But that's so unfortunate because based on what I played, I think I would have absolutely loved the rest of the game. I really liked what I played so far.
Yeah, I love it. This is exactly what I want out of a narrative puzzle game. I love this type of cryptic puzzle game that really makes you think, and you have to like you can be searching a house on this side of the map and find a clue to a puzzle that's like literally all the way on the other side of the world, and the whole thing kind of fits together like that. And you have to be really attentive. You have to take notes, or at least mental notes to be able to unlock everything. And once you do, you spend the first few hours of the game kind of chipping away at that aspect of it and putting together the clues. But as that comes along, then that's when the story opens up. That's when the game opens up and starts letting you visit other areas. And it really is an exceptional experience. Like, the story's awesome. The worlds are awesome. Like the puzzles are awesome. Really the only thing that I can nail it for is just kind of the VR implementation aspect of it,
Well, maybe, as we talked about earlier, maybe Cyan will finally nail VR, console VR, on PlayStation 6. This will be the magical moment for everybody. let's hope. Oh shit, hold on a second. We got Farglesoft here. I was just about to close out the show. Farglesoft with the £5 says, congrats to Cactus VR for 1 million downloads of Plants at War. Cactus Cowboy, Plants at War. Congrats. That is fucking phenomenal. This was PlayStation VR2 specifically, right? This wasn't like across all platforms or anything like that?
To my knowledge, I think that's the case, but I mean, don't hold me to that, because I know this guy was working on some other stuff behind the scenes that was PC stuff. So
right.
So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Cactus Cowboy is playable on Steam, but certainly more prominent on PlayStation. The only people I ever hear talking about it are PSVR gamers. So.
Yeah, congrats. I mean, this was the free to play one, if I remember correctly. So it wasn't 1 million purchases, but hopefully this did translate into purchases for his paid Cactus Cowboy game on PSVR 2. But low poly, sure, but in the headset, whew, man, everything looks razor sharp and moves insanely fast. Great frame rate. This is a game. The trailers are just not going to sell the game. You check this out in the headset, and you'll be very surprised by how good it looks. Yeah.
Everyone said the guns were like super awesome in this thing too, if I recall correctly. Like people were really high on it at the time.
Yeah. I mean, being a launch title, I believe, was really helped. Some of the first times we ever experienced adaptive triggers and headset rumble and all of that, and so yeah. It makes me actually wonder. I got to go back and play Village and be like, because I always talk about firing off the shotgun for the first time and then the headset rumbles. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Would I be nearly as impressed now, right? Or is it just because that the novelty was so new? But hey, I guess I'll be playing Village again soon. I gotta do some Let's Plays through the month of October. I'm excited to get back and play some horror games and just chill with you guys and stream. I haven't done that in so long. I'm excited to do it.
Yeah, I'm so excited for it. Like. It's crazy, right? Because whenever I start thinking about all of the horror stuff I'd like to revisit and all the horror stuff that I've yet to try, like I could literally, if I had time, play a different horror VR game or mod every day of October and have a ton left over at the end. And obviously in my black heart, that's what I would prefer to do. At the same time, all of these new games are coming, and I don't have time to play a game every day. So it's going to be definitely a balancing act as we work our way through October. I think I might just start October next week or something. And we'll let it run through like mid-November. So maybe we can get some more horror stuff in before we call it a day this year.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat. Like I feel like I'm gonna be okay. Like I don't think I have anything like really too much to worry about for the next 2 weeks, and so I really want to utilize the next 2 weeks to start preparing for October and like start scheduling videos to go live and playing through games that I want to do for reviews and Brian bites and really start preparing. But man, the avalanche is coming, and I'm getting extremely nervous about running out of time. And so whatever I don't prepare before October, I just don't know if there'll be time to do once October's here, which is why I think my focus for this October, we always try to make it as fun as possible for people like who like horror as much as we do. I think I'm going to be, I think Let's Plays are going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting on Without Parole this year. But I think it'll be fun because I haven't done it in so long. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah. No, that's great. It's always the most fun type of content to make is the type of content where you just get to play VR and talk to your community. It's amazing.
Hell yeah. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Make sure you click all those links in the descriptions. Go join our Discord. Make sure you subscribe to Wes. He's got stuff going on tonight. You don't want to miss that. Also, subscribe to Jamie. Thank you so much again, Jamie, for letting us use your coverage of Reach. Shout out to everybody who helps this channel survive and thrive. It is awesome. Feel very, very honored to be here doing this for you guys. So make sure you go join our Patreon, patreon.com/withoutparolegames, or be a member over here on YouTube, or tip during the show. We appreciate it all very, very much. Thank you so much for all that. But we're just happy that you're here, part of the community, hanging out, shooting the shit, playing 20 questions with us, or maybe you just sit back and watch the show and don't say a goddamn word. If that's the case, we know you're out there, and we love you just as much. Happy Wednesday, Wes.
Happy Wednesday, Brian. Happy Wednesday, cats. Go have fun, play VR, and be merry.
Let's go. Before we go, we got to check out what's happening this week in Without Parole history. Oh boy. Let's see what it is.
Firmament coming to PSVR2.
Right. Abduction. It's gonna be good. We can feel it. Yeah. My backup hard drive is so slow sometimes that let's see. We're trying to get to roughly September 17th. Wow, just like, oh man, you go back and it's just like, hey, state of play coming soon. State of play. Guess what, you guys? We probably have a state of play coming soon. Just saying.
I don't think so.
Oh, here we go. We're going all the way back, Wes. All the way back to September 15th, 2021. First contact hiring for a next-gen VR game. I wonder what it could be.
Oh my God. Could they possibly be bringing Solaris to PSVR2?
It probably would have been a better idea.
Definitely.
What
Actually, no. I think they had the right idea. Just shit happens, right?
Yeah, shit happens, man. One of these days, I would really like to talk to Hess Barber. I'd like to have him come on the show. Because I mean, it's such an unfortunate state of events. Like, I think that Firewall was if not the most popular, one of the most popular games on PSVR 1. There are still people playing it to this day, which is insane, absolutely insane. And I think if they had delivered even like an awesome remaster of that game, people would be all about it on PSVR 2. But there, I am privileged to certain things that he told me, in confidence, and I'm not going to share those with you. But man, I would love if he just wanted to tell the whole story and come on the show and tell you guys everything that like went wrong from beginning to end. And I think there's a lot, right? I think it's easy to blame one specific thing and say, oh well, if they didn't do this. But man, I honestly think that there's a list of things that had to go wrong in order for things to end up that badly. So I'm going to reach out to him and see if I can't get him on the show.
Yeah,
developer interview.
I agree that
would be worth watching.
I agree. That's a story that needs to be told. Not only because of the specifics of the story itself, but just like this is one of the all-time like biggest flops in VR. We're talking about a game here that had hype through the roof. Everyone was highly anticipated. It had the type of anticipation for it from the community that all other VR games dream of. Like they had like support from Sony and all of these things going in their favor, and in just the sport of the span of just a few short months, going from that through launch to the closing of the studio, that is a historic fall, and I think it's a story that should be told.
Also, I just looked it up. Exo Cars has been on sale twice since launch. The first time it was $16 or $15 with plus, and then the second time, much more recently, a month or two ago, it was, come on, PS prices. It was $14 or $13 with plus. So it has been on sale, and a decent sale at that. So hopefully it'll be on sale again. Get more people in there. All right, you guys, time to get out of here. Thank you all very much. We love you all. Good night.